Yeah, I've seen like a compilation of this one TikToker guy who's like, all his videos start with him going, big news, big news. It's like every time it's big news.
Hello, welcome back to the Raptors Report podcast. I am your host, Julian, and with me, as always, co-host Steve. How you doing, Steve?
I'm great, Julian. How you doing?
Yep, we are in the home stretch here. We are finally within striking distance of the Toronto Raptors preseason. We are very close to the Toronto Raptors training camp. And we are waiting with bated breath for news, any news to come out. Of course, last week we discussed sort of the topic du jour, the Kawhi Leonard, Steve Ballmer saga that has been really sweeping things in the sweeping the news in for the NBA and created a huge swirl of controversy surrounding the LA Clippers. But, I don't think that there's anything that's going to happen regarding that, especially with the Toronto Raptors, at least. So we're going to be discussing the Toronto Raptors because I know that that's what you Toronto Raptors fans are interested in. So we've got some cool topics for you today. The first, bold predictions. Steve has some bold predictions. I have some bold predictions. We're going to be unveiling those. And the second, blast from the past. If you remember Andrea Bargnani, if you are a fan of Terrence Ross, you're going to really like this one. Dug it up off of the Raptors subreddit. If you haven't seen it, stay tuned. You're going to be able to see that and get our reactions about that. But yeah, Steve, how you doing? How's life treating you?
I'm great. It's at that time where it's still warm enough, but the leaves are starting to drop and it's starting to smell like basketball weather. We're getting closer and closer to training camp. And yeah, as you said, the Pablo Torre stuff has been just kind of carrying us through that last stretch of the offseason. I can only look at so many Jonathan Kuminga updates. I know. I'm starting to tune out of that. So yeah, this has been great with that. And it's nice that we're able to start getting more focused on the Raptors and that maybe we'll be starting to get some real Raptors news coming in and we can get kind of hype about training camp.
Yeah, hopefully it's not bad news because I remember last year, the big news that came into training camp was the fact that Bruce Brown was getting surgery.
Yeah.
And that was like his contract year and everybody was like, oh, finally we're going to be able to trade Bruce Brown for something or maybe he'll show out or whatever. Eventually that was the case, but yeah, I was pretty pissed.
And then Jacoby got injured in training camp. And it was like right away, it was like, wait, are the wheels already falling off? So yeah, hopefully good news. Hopefully nothing like that.
Yeah, we want puff pieces and, guys are getting along great and how amazing the chemistry is. Those kinds of stories rather than the actual news. But yeah, we have some bold predictions for you guys today. We'll just jump, straight into things, not leave you hanging. Bold predictions. So what this means, let's set the stage here. When we say bold predictions, these are things that, are unlikely to happen. These are hot takes that we think, we're going to explain why we think that it's not only possible, but perhaps even likely that this will be the outcome that happens during the season. And we like to be bold on this show. We like maybe not so bold as, the ESPN talking heads where they're going to be talking about all this sort of nonsense that never comes to pass. And then, a couple months down the line, just pretend that they never said it. we are going to be making these predictions, and we'll probably revisit them and, see how accurate they were. Steve came up with this idea, so I'm going to throw him the baton first and let him hit you with his first bold prediction.
Okay, so yeah, so my first one here, and this will require a few things to happen, but it's also heavily dependent on, as most people probably know, the NBA announced its new All-Star format of two Team Americas and one Team World. So now there's 8 world players and then 2 teams of 8 American players, right? So my first bold take is that the Raptors will get an All-Star, but it won't be Brandon Ingram and it won't be Scotty Barnes. And so obviously the guy would be RJ Barrett. For that to happen, I have about 13, 14 international players that would deserve those 8 spots before RJ. But so obviously you have Jokic, Giannis, Wemby, Shea, Luka as like starting 5 of that, right?
Yeah.
I think Team World is gonna whoop the American teams, but so then you've got the other 3 spots. You've got like Şengün, Franz Wagner, Pascal, a lot of guys that are obviously very talented, but I think 1 or 2 injuries, and then I think the Jazz will still be tanking. So Lauri Markkanen, depending on his season, his team record might be terrible. And how do you put a guy on like a 19 win, maybe 18 win team at the time on the All-Star game? You can't really do it.
Yeah.
Pascal, it'll be interesting. We'll have to see where the Pacers are, right?
Wow.
Pascal
I think
constantly gets he might carry them to a certain amount, right? But they
Okay.
won't have Hallie and all this. And Pascal, I'm going off the fact that he is constantly underappreciated, right? And maybe that's different now that he has won like he'll maybe be riding off of that.
Yeah.
But so why do you have that reaction to it?
Listen, I'm getting hype. I should be yes-anding here. I got to make you work for it though.
Yeah.
This
Oh, of
is
course.
this is a spicy take. You led with a very spicy take. I love it.
It's quite bold.
Yeah, that is very bold. So, okay, so let's think about this. RJ Barrett,
Yeah.
he already has the counting stats. So,
Yeah.
like if you go just by stats alone, you could make the case that, he has, good enough stats. 25-5 is generally around where he performs if he gets enough minutes. Obviously, the other stuff, the little elements like, defense and 3-point shooting and free throw shooting, like there's some other there's
Yeah.
elements that are missing in his game, but it's
Yeah.
not out of the realm of, like, especially as you said, like the important thing to remember here about this take is the change to the all-star format. And if he comes out flying, like last
Yeah.
season, I remember in the preseason getting like legit chills watching RJ Barrett. Remember, he exploded and had that
Yeah.
enormous game in the preseason. I think it was like, did he get injured that game?
He might have,
Yeah.
because he took that like whatever, that shoulder or ran
Right.
into a pick or something. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. But he was like cooking. And I was
Yeah.
like, oh, wait, is this the RJ season? So yeah, I mean, like maybe this is just the season where he puts it all together, or at least puts it up enough together where, with the caveat that the world team is light on guards. I think that that'll be an element to it, because obviously you're not making the teams based on position necessarily. But when you look at the world teams, like there's a lot of bigs. Like
Yeah.
other than Luka and Shea, like Jokic, Giannis, even like as you said, Markkanen, Siakam,
Şengün,
Franz
they're all
Wagner.
big,
Yeah,
right?
they're all big
Exactly.
guys. I mean, Franz you could probably play at the 2, like no
Yeah,
problem.
yeah,
But
for
in
sure.
the backup spot, you're kind of looking at some tough choices there. So I
Yeah,
like
I mean,
that.
who knows? Like maybe Jamal Murray, this could be his All-Star season if he
Right.
really like was cooking
If
and
he's
Denver
healthy,
was really
too.
good, right? I
Yeah.
could see them wanting to do that. But I also I've always kind of thought that the NBA hopes to have a Raptor worthy of every season because like get eyes from Canada and everything on it. Like up until last year, we had this streak. I think it was broken up by the one tank season, but like we had this streak of like getting one or two all-stars in every year, and then you just didn't have somebody who was justifiable. So I think if there's any bit of that at play, and if he has like the counting stats, and if he's cooking in the first half, right? And you look at like, I think that somebody like Şengün will probably be in a great position to make it.
Yeah, for
But
sure.
what if his numbers go significantly down playing next to Kevin Durant? Probably not too much, but I think that he'll have less touches depending. So, but their team will probably have a way better team record than ours and stuff.
Better
I think
team
that,
record, and also it's like in
yeah,
terms of hype, like
exactly. He's
he's
coming
gonna
off Eurobasket.
Eurobasket, and he's gotten the glow up from the
Yeah.
national press. They're
Yeah.
really looking at him as a guy who's like going to take the next step as a star player. So, it might be hard to bump him off, but like,
Yeah.
let's say there's injuries or something like that. I don't think it's out
Exactly.
of the question. I think that
Yeah.
that is a pretty, it's spicy, it's bold, it's brave. That's what we are on this podcast,
That's
by
right.
the way. We're
That's right.
we're the bad boys of the
Yeah.
Raptors podcast world. We're willing to take, make takes that might make us look ridiculous a couple of
right.
months down the road. And here's my bold take. Do you mind if I
Go right
move
ahead.
past the RJ and get to mine?
right
Because I'm really
past it.
excited.
Let's
Here's
go.
my bold take. Darko Rajakovic wins Coach of the Year.
Let's go.
Okay.
I love it. Okay.
First of all, I love Darko
Yeah.
as a person.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know him personally, but from all of the things that I've heard about him, all the public statements that he's made, just the candid
money-
shots of him in the dressing room.
Donations to the children's hospitals. I think he's donated like over 100K now from the assist program that they were doing.
Yeah, I love that. Yeah, he seems
Yeah.
like an amazing person. So I don't mind making this statement because I really like the guy. But here, I'm going to give you a breakdown as to why I think that this is a distinct possibility. So one of the things that everybody or people who have been watching the NBA for a long time know about the Coach of the Year award is that this is an award given usually to teams that overperform expectations. Okay. So what are people saying about the Raptors right now? In the national media, everyone is saying the Raptors, what are they doing? They suck. They're bad. All of these players, they don't fit together. Like there's a bunch of canned responses that everybody has heard about 100 times if they've been paying attention at all to the national media. So let's say that the Toronto Raptors are good this year. I think that they'll be pretty good. I think that they'll be in the running for a playoff spot, like a real playoff spot. And let's say they overperform even that, and they're comfortably in the playoffs, maybe fourth seed, third seed. Then you're going to start hearing buzz about Darko Rajakovic. And because as I just explained, overperforming expectations is a recipe for people saying, well, it's kind of like they're rewarding themselves for their bad take.
Yeah.
And the way that I mean by that is like, they were surprised that the team was good because all the players that they were saying were bad and don't fit together. Well, then you must have a mastermind of a coach
right.
that somehow got the best out of these bums that I was saying in the offseason. These guys suck. So the coach must be brilliant to bring them all together.
Yeah.
The second thing is that I think that, in my opinion, when his system is being run correctly and it's working, let's put it that way. I don't know if I like his system, but I think that there are flaws to it. But if it is working correctly and players are playing their role, it is pleasant to watch. The movement in the offense, the use of screens, the fact that it is a pretty complex system where read and react, the players have to know where to be, when to cut, when to move. It is a pleasant viewing experience, and that will help him. A lot of the time, like coaches, there's a very basic idea is that the coaches can do two things. They tell players to play hard on the defensive end, or they motivate them to play defense. This is a very simplistic view, is that you yell at the players to get them to play defense, and then you teach the players and you use your wisdom and your intelligence to build your offensive system, and you game plan and create these complex plays, right? So if the Toronto Raptors offense is pretty good this year and he starts getting the hype, people will consider it, like they'll say, this guy's a mastermind. Look at the offensive system that he's running. And I just think that it's, if they get in the running and they do well, which I think is a distinct possibility, I think that this can come to pass. What are you on the Darko COY?
I love it. I love it. And they just awarded, like, sometimes they do the coach that did the jump, and then they'll do the coach that won the most games. Look at how good their whole thing was. And they just awarded that. So now they might be going, let's award the upstart. Let's award the, like if they jump, like if they win 10, 12 more games than last year, that's considered a huge jump. So I'm all aboard it. Like, I think he's obviously a bit of things against him, but if you think about what I think he's already introduced himself to the league. If you remember the little rant, the Scotty Barnes is an all-star rant.
People loved that. People loved that. And I was surprised by how positive the response is, because he's like, nobody likes the refs, and they know your team gets screwed and you are pissed. And he was just like and also like standing up for his players. You know what I mean? Like, there was that element too. So yes, you're absolutely right.
Real passion, right? Yeah. And his name was known around the league, right? So it's like he's known. And then, like, the other thing is that if any attention, not that the Raptors will be on national television for this season, but it could be seen in what's it called, the little NBA tournament games and stuff like that. Darko's very hands-on. He pulls players to the side in between timeouts, and he puts his hand on their back and he coaches, yada yada yada. So there's always good optics with him.
And there's always like, he's always like pointing things and at the spot on the floor. Like, he's literally doing the job, but it is very like telegenic. Like it is, you like, of course, if you wanted to pretend to be a coach and you wanted to make sure that people thought that you were a good coach, you'd be doing that 10 times a game. You'd be like, come over here and like talk and point at spots on the floor, so that anytime somebody looked at you, they'd be like, oh wow, what a great coach. Look at him just coaching these guys up.
It's the opposite of Darvin Ham with the hands in the pockets.
Oh man, I love Darvin Ham and I love the memes. And I swear to God, okay, like in any other market, you get a guy who literally wins like the in-season tournament, and the year prior to that got them to the conference finals. Like, I'm not saying he's the greatest coach of all time, but they ran this guy out of town on a plank. They really did. Like, they crucified him, and it just like him and
Westbrook.
Well,
you're talking coaches.
Westbrook, but also their previous coach was the coach of the Suns. He won them a championship. Oh gosh,
I can't remember.
This is the podcast experience. If you guys are enjoying this, no editing. We're just having to rely on our faulty memories,
our failing memories.
But you can trust us when we say that we know who we're talking about. We know exactly. I can picture.
I know the vague shape of his hair.
I know what his face looks like. He's going bald, but he has a little flip at the top.
That's right.
Anyway. We're getting way off track here, but we were talking about coaches. Darvin Ham, hands in the pockets, not a good look, and definitely probably contributed to him getting fired, because it is the ultimate giving up and I'm not doing anything look. Like, if you're walking around a job site with your hands in your pockets, people, like, it literally looks like you don't have anything to do because your hands are not occupied. But
anyway. You have to have a tool in your hand. You have to have something. You got to look busy.
That's what they gave you the clipboard for.
Exactly.
If you're a coach, they give you a clipboard so you don't have to walk around with your hands in your pockets.
Yeah.
But good call. Yeah, I love that. I love the Darvin Ham memes. And
And
the
like,
best one is with his hands in his pockets. Whenever the Lakers lose,
yeah,
it shows him with his hands in his pockets. It says, "Can't blame me." That's at the
yeah,
bottom.
they can't
I
blame me
love it.
one's so good. Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, I love the take for the coach of the year show for Darko. That's fun. And it would be great to see because he's a guy who puts so much of himself in this. Like he is somebody who like obviously winning games matters way more, but he's somebody who wears his heart on his sleeve and he's somebody
Mhm.
who really cares about buy-in. And I think that's the other element of it is if it's obvious that there's the buy-in, which it like completely is across the board. There was last year, and I only imagine it's going to be just more this year, right? Like, and it's like I remember people saying like they were critiquing certain players, whatever, and I was like, look, they're not doing this rogue. They're doing exactly what Darko's telling them to do because he's telling them to work on stuff, and they're bought in and believing that what he tells them to do is going to work, right? So I think that he's got complete buy-in from the team, and that's more than half the battle.
Yeah. And also, like, teams campaign to get their players, like in the
Yeah,
All-Star game, they get I'm sure that they'll do that for Darko if he's in the conversation.
yeah,
They will have endless clippable material
hmm,
of him being so positive, of
yeah,
him like getting guys to buy in to do the thing that they're supposed to do.
yeah,
There'll be clips of him getting like when you think about like I don't want to say that the coach is the dad. That's not the case. These are grown men, but like there's a fatherly element to it where you want a dad who's like gregarious and nice, but at the same time can get angry and let people know that what the rules are and that there's something to be followed. And he has both of those sort of elements. He
yeah,
has the good-natured kind of helping guys come along and being positive and bringing, but then he also has the kind of like yelling and saying like, you have to be in this place. You can't be at the front. Like
yeah,
that's what people like to see
yeah,
because they're thinking about kind of maybe like a father figure in a
yeah,
way, or a leader. I should say a leader because that's kind of what they're supposed to do. But a leader is
yeah,
supposed to be most of the time positive, but some willing to crack the whip and
exactly.
and
Yeah,
lay down the law when that's needed.
yep.
Okay, so there's another bold take. I
I
think that
love
that
it.
one's pretty good, but
Yeah,
I'm awaiting your next one because the first
that's
one's
great. Okay, so my next one is that the Raptors bench will, for the first time in, I think it would be 5 years, win their minutes overall. And I'm talking points per 100 possessions, plus minus. They'll win that overall by the end of the year. So I went back through the last 5 years, and it was back until 2020 that they actually, when you isolate every starter out of the lineups, you say all of these players off the floor,
yeah.
and you check, and it shows what all the lineups, what their sum total was of on off. And not since 2020 has it been positive. It has been minus 14, minus 18, minus
Horrible,
11,
horrible, horrible.
just yeah, losing it across the board, right? And they're not going to do like I've been doing some work on certain bench mob stuff because I think it's an interesting story back then when they actually had the bench mob because they actually ran a 5 out bench unit, which teams just don't really do anymore, right?
Yeah.
And they won their minutes by plus 18 by the end of the season. I think at certain points they were like plus 29. Like it was crazy. I don't expect anything like that, but I'm just expecting that they'll be in the positive column because I think they have so many players that are positive impact players that will be coming off the bench, which is, I think Jacoby Walter will be a big, like, good positive numbers guy. I think CMB himself is just an absolute impact stats guy. He does everything right. His in South Carolina, they were like -9 with him off
Yeah.
the floor, right?
I remember that was, sorry to do an aside
No, go
here,
ahead.
but somebody was saying, did like a expected win result with the player on and off. And it
Right.
was him and Cooper Flag at the
Yeah,
top.
yeah,
And that's like, I mean, there was obviously I liked his game and I was very excited about him and I was hyping him up prior to them drafting him. But when I saw that, I was like, hell yes.
hmm,
And he is the ultimate kind of glue guy is thrown around a little too often because it's, it can mean anything. But for him, he does all of those things that don't show up in the stat sheet, or when they
Yeah.
do, they're not as like, it's a holistic approach to the game. He does everything.
Yeah,
So I
exactly.
totally buy that he will be an impact rookie, especially I think he will probably come off the bench.
Yeah, right. And I think that when you've got so many potentially positive defenders on there, like who knows what the minutes will shake out between Mobo and him, and it's like, and Sandro is looking like he's doing well, everything, right? So I think there's enough juice there for them to win a lot of their minutes as a bench unit. And like it'll be typically them plus a starter, but now we've got the opportunity to have them plus Scotty, them plus BI, them plus IQ. It'll be slightly better than it was last season. And last season, there were a couple of lineups that really screwed their overall plus minus of it. But when you filter those out, they're actually really close to being positive. And so I think by having improving one starter by getting BI in the team and then getting who I think is, I mean, that stat that you said speaks volumes. I think he's maybe top two or top three players in his draft as an impact player. I think it's Cooper Flag, him, and maybe VJ Edgecombe, who net out to being these two-way players who impact like that. So yeah, I could totally see, and that them winning those minutes is really like a secret sauce of the Raptors succeeding as a whole. Once you stop bleeding it out on the bench, as they've been doing for years and years
Yeah.
and years, then you can start to rest guys a bit more, and you can stop having to fight back every time that you sit guys for a minute, right?
That yeah, absolutely. And just to expand on a small point there that you made at the end, well, I mean you made it throughout, but the whole thing that the Raptors were really terrible, like off the bench for the past 5 seasons, has been a huge bugbear of mine because obviously it sucks when you go to the bench and everybody, you give up these huge leads, but it also contributed to the underrating of all of the starters. So
Yeah.
Siakam, OG, Fred VanVleet, they're all good players. And as soon as they went to another team, everybody's like, oh, okay, these guys are really good.
Yeah.
And the problem is that when you going 500 in a season or worse, people are going to be like, well, if they're so good, why is the record blah, blah, blah? And that's what you hear that over and over and over again. And just yelling until my voice was hoarse, or my fingers were raw when I'm typing on the internet, is like, it's the bench. Like
Yeah.
it is literally like there was no worse bench over that period of time than the Toronto
Yeah.
Raptors bench. They were like bums. These
And
guys, nobody is in the league anymore. The only guy off of the bench
Exactly.
is Chris Boucher. He's on
Exactly.
I don't like a minimum contract with this the tanking Celtics.
Yeah.
And he was the best bench player for the Toronto Raptors over that period of time. Nobody else is in the league.
Exactly.
I guess Fee Mikhailiuk is still in the league, but I can't even remember where he is right now. He was on the Knicks last season, but
I remember, I think he ended up in Utah, but I don't know if he's still there. But I I remember like pulling my hair out, being like, no, like if you're judging Scotty Barnes off of whatever, I'm like, watch his minutes that he has to play with this bench as he goes, establishes position in the post, and he works his ass off to get that position, and nobody can do the interior pass. They're too afraid to even try to pass it over top to him.
Yeah.
So he's wasted all this effort and all that, and then he goes, ugh, and then he goes up there and he sets a pick for them to just try to create something, and it was like so horrible to watch. Do you remember, I don't know if it wouldn't have been last season, it would have been the season before, when I think it was Chris Boucher was in the corner and Precious curled around and ended up standing next to him in the exact same corner.
yes, yes,
And they just
yes.
both stood waiting for the pass next to each other,
Oh
like
my
they could hold
God.
hands. Oh my gosh, it was terrible, right? So, yeah, like, and you look at somebody who gets unfairly judged for bench stuff is like Paolo Banchero for the last several years has had this
Poor
negative
splits.
on-off
Yeah,
rating, right?
yeah,
Yeah, like terrible, right? And
yeah,
like Magic fans are screaming, they're like, it's because Jonathan Isaac
yeah,
is so impactful as a defender, and that's who comes on for him,
yeah.
right? So it's like when you've got this guy who is a really good
All
defender,
world defender. Like if
exactly.
there was
Once he's
any
healthy,
justice, he
yeah.
would be in a all defense team.
The second they put that
Yeah,
65 game rule, I was like, oh, he's never making a
yeah,
team, like
yeah,
because he just can't stay healthy, right? But yeah, incredibly impactful player, and it makes Paolo's on off look horrible, right?
yeah.
if he played minutes with him off the bench, it would make Paolo Zonoff look better, right? So I think, yeah, those certain impact players will also, as you said, like it'll make certain starters probably look better at the end of the day once you have them sharing minutes with a guy like CMB or a guy I think there's a lot that can come from the bench winning their minutes. That's not just, like a full bench mob kind of success story.
I love how, and this is no word of lie, it's going to sound sarcastic. I love how one of our bold predictions, and it is a bold prediction, like, don't get me wrong, one of our bold predictions is that the bench won't be bad. That's literally like every other team in the league, because benches play against other benches, right?
Yeah.
Every other team in the league would be like, yeah, okay, your bench is average. Who cares? For the Toronto Raptors fans, especially newer fans who have never known anything differently, that is where games go to die.
Yeah.
Games die in those minutes. So it is a bold take, and I love it. And if the Raptors have a real bench mob and a couple of guys who are just like stir your soul somehow when they come in and you can root for them, I would love that. There's nothing better than, if you're a music fan, you won't say like your favorite song on an album is the single, right? You want to show that you're a little cool, so you can be like, no, I like song 5. That one is the best one. It's the hidden track. So if you want to impress your friends, you have to say like this cool player off of the bench is your favorite player, right? Because you want to show them that you know about the team. But there has literally been no ability to do that for the Toronto Raptors. Now we're going to finally have it if you get your way.
That's right.
Okay. This is kind of like we've been doing some positive ones. I'm going to slow down the hype train. I'm going to hit the brakes. I'm going to be Debbie Downer here. I am going to be the kind of, fly in your soup.
You got to do it.
I got to do it. My bold prediction is that Grady Dick gets traded this season. Okay. So let's start here. First of all, Grady Dick has been inconsistent. Okay. I don't want to say he's bad. I don't want to put that out there that I'm hating on him or just naked hating on him. This is constructive here. He has been inconsistent. So his first season, he had a very, very poor start to the season. Enough so that everybody like online at least was like, oh boy, this is not looking good. This looks like a bust. And then he went to the G League. He was horrible in the G League when he went down there. Then he comes back up, and all of the players had been traded. Siakam was gone. OG, I think, very quickly was gone as well. And then he started getting minutes. It was in a tanking season. Mickey Mouse March, kind of. Other teams were resting their players, but he started to pick it up. He started scoring well, started shooting the three well, got people back on board, got me back on board. Second season was kind of the reverse. So he started the season off because Scotty Barnes was injured. Emmanuel Quickley was injured. There wasn't very many other players to give the ball to and score. So he and RJ were the main guys at the beginning of the season. And he was awesome. He was wicked. Those mid-range shots were really cool on the baseline. He had all these nifty moves. He was showing that he had like some athleticism. Really excited there. And then he kind of faded off as the team got a little bit healthier, as some of the vets started to come back. His minutes went down, but more importantly, his efficiency dropped off, and he could not regain that shooting stroke that he had earlier in the season, so his percentages fell as well. So there's another thing happening here. I think a lot of people have noticed what the Toronto Raptors have a lot of, and that is obviously guards and wings, like smaller wings.
Exactly, that mid-guard wing guy. Yeah.
So Ochai Agbaji, RJ Barrett. Emmanuel Quickley is a more of a point guard.
Jacoby
Walter. There are a lot of players that are fighting for his minutes. Yeah. And in my opinion, if this is kind of like just somebody's got to go, or there needs to be space made for somebody, I'm just thinking that if his shooting especially does not improve, like if he does not consistently become like a 40% 3-point shooter,
Hmm.
I think that he will get better defensively. How much, I'm not sure, but I think he, like with time and his body getting in better condition, larger, I think he will become less of a liability on that end. I'm not sure if I don't think he'll ever be, average,
Yeah.
but I would settle, like that is not the limiting factor here. If he can play like a 4 out of 10 on defense and
Yeah.
then be a 40% 3-point shooter, listen, that's an NBA player. That's a rotation player. That's a guy
Mm.
that's going to see lots of minutes on any NBA team, is a guy who can bang shots and isn't absolutely horrible on defense. That is an NBA player. If he does not shoot at or around that level, I just don't know if he's going to be a guy
Yeah.
that the Toronto Raptors are going to be keeping around long term. And another factor here is that in terms of hype, in terms of guys who have a good rep,
Hmm.
I think that Grady Dick, like I've been listening to other podcasts and listening to like generalists,
Yeah,
and
they
he's
talk a
still,
little crazy about him.
they talk like he is like, because a lot of people get an idea cemented
Yeah.
early on. Okay.
Yeah.
So the beginning of this past season, he was putting up awesome numbers and he had a lot of good highlights. That's another
Yeah.
thing, is that he was throwing down cool dunks.
Yeah.
He was, hitting impressive shots. The creation where he would drive and then take those mid-range baseline pull-up shots. He has a very aesthetically pleasing game. Don't get me
Yeah.
wrong here. So I think that stuck with people. I think there will be a market for him.
Yeah.
And
I think he's got value for sure.
I think that if, like, let's say Jacoby Walter, like, if you're choosing between it, there's a good chance that maybe Grady Dick is better than Jacoby. It's possible, but I'm thinking maybe Jacoby Walter, has a sophomore like jump, and then maybe that's when you're going to start to see the team looking for suitors for Grady Dick. So that is my bold take. I think that next season, Grady Dick gets traded. And I think I'm going to add another bold take on here. This will be like the third bold take. I don't know if I'm stealing your thunder here, but
Go ahead.
I think they're going to be buyers. I think they're going to send him out to get a guy.
Yeah. So that would be part of my third take.
Ooh, okay.
But just
Sorry. Yeah.
No, it's okay. No, it blends perfectly. But yeah, just to like touch on the Grady thing, like the idea of it breaks my heart because he is such a fun player and such a fun guy,
For sure.
obviously. But like the writing is on the wall with that kind of log jam, and it does kind of seem like it might be a bit of a fight to see who cements themselves as the guy that can be going forward. And maybe Jacoby's defense is the difference maker in that. Maybe the fact that Grady is expiring sooner and will be due for his contract negotiation soon. We don't know how those are going to go. We don't know what he would expect, right? We're seeing the RFA kind of issue go on. Would they let him get to RFA status?
They don't like to do that.
Exactly. They don't like to do that, right? But are they going to go and overpay him? Because they often do that. And if they overpay him, it makes a lot of other things tougher, right? So
they might try and get out ahead of it, just like
exactly.
Giddy. Remember?
Exactly.
Giddy was that was pending.
Yeah.
And the Oklahoma City Thunder were like, okay, we don't want to pay this guy. We got to find somebody who's going to take him. And they found the Patsy, the Chicago Bulls. Although it's worked out okay for them. Although he did get a bag. Jesus, he got a lot of money.
He sure did. Yeah, and they gave him 4 years, right?
Yep, they gave him 4 years, 100 and something million.
So they have him and Patrick Williams for the next 3 years at least, on owed like 45-ish or something together.
Yeah, the Patrick Williams one, they bought the hype.
Yeah.
And I mean, Giddy, I think like he had a couple of, like, he looks like
he
a
had
more
really good
dynamic
end to the
player.
season, for sure.
Yeah, but yeah, no, I know what you're saying. This is small sample size theater, and they just paid top dollar for it. So,
but they seem to like he can be a bit of a table setter and stuff, right? And so they seem to like that. I don't think that he's a complete like mistake of a player. They'll see, right? He's still young. Like he's like 8 or so months younger than a lot of the guys in his draft class, right? So it's not the worst thing in the world. We'll see. But I just hope that they don't like mess up their Matas Buzelis situation and
Yeah.
Like he should be the guy that they're
Yeah.
pushing towards, right? So I hope that they don't mess that situation up. But yeah, like in terms of like Grady's aspect like that, okay, so what kind of contract is Grady going to be expecting, right? Like what feels like an overpay? What is he giving back? Because if he's going to be off the bench for the foreseeable future, right?
Yeah, you're
Unless
going to be
he,
wanting to pay something like, I don't know, 9 million a season.
yeah,
That's I mean above the MLE or just like at the MLE. That's kind of
hmm,
what teams are going to be looking to give a guy who's like more of a specialist.
yeah,
And of course, like this is kind of glass half empty logic where we're expecting him to, stay where he is.
yeah,
And that's not, it's not set in stone. That's why
yeah,
this is a bold
exactly, yeah,
take, right? This is something
yeah,
that you got to put some skin in the game. You can't be all wishy washy. You got to be
yeah,
strong and brave. You got to
that's
make
right,
these takes, man.
yeah.
Yeah.
And like agents and stuff do this too, right? Where they look ahead and they go, okay, I think you're not going to be able to give my guy what we want, right? So then they might have that discussion and go, do you think you're going to give our guy
Right.
15, 18 mil? No, get us out of here, right? Like
Exactly. Yeah.
you don't know, right? Like
They
so
see the
that's
writing. They see the writing on the wall ahead of time. Maybe
exactly.
Grady Dick was at. They're playing him for 18 minutes a game,
Hmm.
and then Darko doesn't like the defense when he's out there or
Yeah,
something, and he gets bumped down to like
that's right.
14 minutes a game, and then his agent is like, "Ooh, well, this is not looking good. Let's start thinking of ways that we can get him in a better situation."
Yeah.
And then maybe you start looking at teams like, I don't know, Brooklyn.
Hmm.
Maybe you're starting to look at the Hornets.
Yeah.
You look at well, although they've found their white shooters, so maybe
Yeah.
not them, but like
The
looking for,
Jazz.
yeah, exactly, yeah. But you look for landing spots
Yeah.
for him, and so that's
Yeah, I think I like it. It's a sad take for sure.
I know.
But yeah, I like it. And yeah, so in terms of my other take here, I basically agree with that they would be buyers in that situation. And so Grady being a part of that package makes a lot of sense. So basically my last take is that the Raptors will trade a first round pick this year. It won't be a 2026 first round pick, but they will trade a first round pick at the deadline,
This is
which,
going to be, listen, if they're in a position to trade a first round pick
yeah,
for somebody, I'm down. I'm down.
listen,
I'm down. That means they're going to be good. So
I don't,
yeah,
yeah,
let's go.
I don't think that their interest in Derek White is drying up. I don't think that their interest in some of these guys who could be a better two guard would dry up, right? So it's like if you look at it and you're like, okay, what do you send to Boston? Are you sending Grady in a first and a something, right? Like how are you getting a player like that? I can see those kind of packages working for certain teams depending on what those teams' situation is at that point, right? So don't trade a 2026 first because I like the class. And if they are floating around that kind of play-in zone, maybe they're still in the lottery. I don't know. But a future pick, yeah, I'm open to it. How long are they going to keep those in the deck if they think that this inclination with Brandon Ingram and stuff has a shot? They've showed before. Bobby was a part of that, even though it's not the exact same front office. Bobby was a part of that whole, oh, let's push in, we have a chance. And if the East is as open as it kind of looks,
Yeah, it's kind of an arms race for the mid teams in the
that's
Eastern
right.
Conference. They want to be the next up and coming team.
Yeah.
They're going to be like, I mean, the Hawks got Porzingis, who played really well in the. I mean, I guess it doesn't really matter. We can talk about that later. But he's on their team. He looks kind of
Yeah.
healthy. They'll probably be making a push. The Magic, of course. Like, there's a whole bunch of teams that are up and coming,
Yeah.
and you don't want to be the team that kind of almost got there,
Hmm.
especially if you are looking to make the playoffs. I think that's what
Yeah.
the Raptors are going to try and do this season. So I
Yeah.
like that. The trade deadline, sending out a pick. And I love the location you picked for Grady Dick, the Boston Celtics. That's another underrated white guy shooter city to
Yeah.
send him to. So there
That's
you
right.
go.
Picture him and Peyton Pritchard cooking next to each other.
Oh yeah, there you go. Yeah. So first round pick being sent out. So let me
Yeah.
take the devil's advocate here. Devil's advocate. I will support the position where the pick is good.
Yeah.
and we should not trade the pick. So the Toronto Raptors, one of their best strengths as a team is drafting.
Yeah.
And in my opinion, I think that most of the time they have traded a pick, they have come to regret it.
Yep.
And I think one of the only times, like the Jakob Poeltl trade, we've talked at length about this, where at the time it was a bad move because they traded for a win now piece when they were clearly not going to be a competitive team, and they traded a first round pick, and it turned out that the pick was kind of just not that great anyway. But like when you think about the Thad Young trade and you think about all these other things where they were like, we need to get better, we need to get a player. They've traded away a pick when they are one of the best drafting teams in the NBA. They have had a track record of building through the draft, finding players that fit their culture, fit their team, that they can coach up. They've got some great coaching facilities. They've got some great coaching staff, scouting, all of the all of the ingredients that you need to create a good NBA player the Toronto Raptors have, especially when it comes to the draft. So while I would love as like a heart guy, if I'm talking about my heart rather than my brain, if you're saying that we're trading for a first round pick for a good player in the league, I'm like, I am down. I am down. Let's get this trade going. We are going to get a good player here. Here are the picks and whatnot. And then, but when it comes to the brain, I don't know, man. I would just, it's going to be really sad when that draft rolls around and there's that player that you want on the board and the other team that you traded the pick to gets to draft them. So
I'm so with you on that because I'm a big draft guy and I hate feeling like you're just sitting on the sidelines looking in. Like I really hate when what was it when the draft lottery went whatever sideways that year. I was like where we fell out of the pick, I was like, oh, man, I was getting so hyped for like so many of these little blah, 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 right? And it's like, I can't follow the draft the same way if we don't have skin in the game and a guy, right? So
it's like gambling when you don't have any, when there's no money,
Exactly. You're just watching it like, okay, cool, right? And then you're always going to look at who was drafted in that spot and everything. So like, I'm totally with you on that. I just think that like the Bobby Western stuff have this approach of like, it's a draft pick, I can get a draft pick back. Like, they didn't have a draft pick in whatever Jacoby's draft, and then they were like, "Yeah, we get a pick back." And the Siakam thing, you have to trade a good player away, but he might look at his roster and go, "Well, eventually I'll trade away one of these players and blah blah, blah and get a pick back if it doesn't work out in that amount of time." Right? Like, I think that I don't like how often they trade first because they're really good at drafting.
Yeah.
Right. And like versus like Utah, who became terrible at drafting and is like, we need all the firsts. Like,
I know.
It doesn't make sense comparatively.
God, Danny Ainge. He is washed up, man. He's lost his fastball.
They apparently fired all the before this draft. They apparently fired their whole like scouting and everything, and like refreshed it after the Cody Williams thing. They were like, what were we thinking with that? So, and then they like went for Ace Bailey. We'll see how that works out. Everything, but they had all those picks for what, right? Whereas like the Raptors, it's like, I bet you guys would be picking good players if you had all those picks.
I know. You'd be getting guys that, could help the bench unit out. I mean, they got a guy this season, CMB, probably come off the bench, probably really help them there. So totally agree there. So your spicy take is that a first round pick is going out of Toronto.
Yes. And I think people will have a meltdown, and I think there'll be podcasts about it going, what is Toronto doing?
Oh yeah.
Well, every time.
They will, here's the saving grace here is that they will have to eat crow before that happens, because the Toronto Raptors, I will tell you this, if it's another tank season or they're like, on pace for 35 or 34 wins, they are not trading a first. Okay. This is a situation where they're going to be, projected probably over 41 wins. They're going to be looking at something better than a 500 record. So if if they're going to be saying like, what the hell is Toronto doing? They'll at least have to have a little bit of crow in their mouth, because they would have been talking smack about the Raptors, saying that they're garbage, that they're not going to do anything this season. So we'll at least be able to take them to task for that.
Well, and if it's Bill Simmons, he's got that bet with Kendrick Perkins about it, right?
Oh,
Like,
right.
you
Yeah,
don't
I
remember
forgot about
exactly
that.
what the whole parameters of it is, but he put his Perkins is like, put your money where your mouth is. Okay, I think the Raptors are going to be better than that, right? So we'll see how that
How are we
goes.
on like does that makes me have to like first of all it's
Perkins just like, I'm going to pick the most random thing to say today, and we were that thing. It's like
Perkins,
great.
yeah, Perkins is like always wrong. So like do the opposite, the George
Yeah,
Costanza, say the
yeah,
opposite of what your brain tells you to. So I don't like being on the other end of that equation.
yeah.
But on the flip side, on the bonus side, Bill Simmons is the other side of the equation. And you could not find a guy who is a bigger homer in the podcast world.
Yeah,
Like we do a Raptors centric podcast, and I think we're more objective than him.
honestly.
We literally are hosting a podcast only about the Toronto Raptors,
Yep.
and I think that we have a better handle on what is fair and what isn't in the league. Okay, so those are. I hope you guys enjoyed that. I
Well,
enjoyed
yeah,
that. That was good.
I'm just looking at the chat here, and Infamous says a good point that Agbaji would be probably the first guy to go in his opinion, and I think yeah, that's what makes a lot of sense too. It does kind of seem like Ochai is on the bubble of that. I just wanted to touch on that because that's a great point that Ochai might be the guy on the bubble. He's going to be due a contract, and he's not as young as the other guys. So I thought
He's
that was
not as
interesting.
young. He's but
A good three and
one
D
of
guy.
yeah, that's the thing is that he has the role player bona fides where he does play good defense,
Yeah.
solid defense, and he was a corner sniper last
Yep.
season.
Yep.
And like if we're in a world where the Toronto Raptors are good and they're trying to win, I mean, if he's able to do what he did last season, and this is the thing, is that a lot of the time your brain gets stuck and it doesn't account for growth and it
Yep.
doesn't especially does not account for regression.
Yeah.
I think that everybody sees things on an upward slope. So just judging him on last season's performance, but that's all you have to go by is the past. You have to make guesses based on the future, but based on the past. If he's able to put together a season like he did last season, I don't think they're going to want to trade him. I
Yeah.
think that he's going to be one of the guys that helps you win minutes. He's going to be a guy that fits into lineups. You want a guy like if you're going to be playing RJ Barrett and Emmanuel Quickly and these guards that need help on the defensive end, one of the guys that you're going to be looking to play is Ochai Agbaji. Ditto for Scotty Barnes. You're going to be thinking, well, I mean, not ditto, but a similar concern for Scotty Barnes is like, we need floor stretching.
Yeah.
We need somebody to space the floor. Same with Brandon Ingram. We need someone who can space the floor. Well,
Yeah.
he does that too, right? So it's going to be tough to trade away a guy who does two of the things that are literally the most important things for a role player to be able to do.
Yeah.
But I can see where you're coming from, especially from a contract standpoint, from an older player standpoint. I can kind of see what you're saying. So I could go either way.
If you package him with Grady and you get somebody back who is a 3 and D
Derek
guy
White,
who's
yeah.
good, yeah, right, then it kind of solves itself because you what do they call that anyway, just a move that consolidation move,
Right,
so
exactly, yeah.
you've solved some other problems of, okay, we can't get this guy enough playing time because there's too many of these players. You put them as one, okay, cool. Now you've got your clear starting two, and things start to kind of mesh out a bit better. So yeah, like, and I don't know. I don't know what kind of value Boston holds White as. I know that we did a crazy lowball offer at them of trying to get Drew Holiday and Derek White for RJ and the ninth pick or something, and they were like, get lost.
Yeah.
But that's all I know from that standpoint. But yeah, I could see that, but I also totally agree that he is a ready to compete 3 and D guy now. Like if we're projecting what Jacoby can be, Ochai is kind of already giving some of that.
Right.
You
Like
hope
the
that-
ceiling is not as high,
Exactly.
but he's doing it.
Yeah.
So like and also,
yeah,
sorry to cut you off,
Go ahead.
but one of the things is that is a role that you can have duplicates of.
Yeah.
Role players who don't need the ball,
Yeah.
who can shoot and play defense, you can have like 4 of them in your rotation.
Yeah.
You literally build offenses just slotting those guys into
True.
the between the players who need the ball. So like it's gonna be tough to trade a guy like that if he is doing what he's supposed to be doing,
Yeah.
which, maybe he does, maybe he doesn't. But yeah, I am happy with our bold takes. So let's go through them. First one, you went first, and it was
RJ All-Star.
RJ All-Star, Star J.
Yeah.
Literally. Then he'll
Yeah.
finally be able, you can actually call him.
That's right.
Yeah, Star J.
Yeah.
Next was Darko Coach of the Year.
Yeah.
The next one was
Next one was bench, actually winning
right.
their minutes.
Yes, having a good bench. Yes, of course. And then trading Trady, and then this past one was that the Raptors will be sending out a pick. So that is 5. Yes, 5
Spicy takes. And if they all happen, it sounds like the Raptors would win like 60 games. So we're good.
Exactly. Yeah, 60 games. There you go. You heard it here
easy.
first.
Easy.
Okay, so guys, we have a blast from the past here. This is Doug pilfered, lifted right off of everyone's favorite secret website, Reddit. I don't know if you've heard of it, but the Toronto Raptors Reddit has found this excerpt from Terrence Ross's podcast. And he was talking about his days with the Toronto Raptors and his rookie season. So I'm going to play the clip for you because it has a couple of names that maybe you remember. Maybe you're an old guy like me. You remember this back in the day. Neither player who's being mentioned is still in the league, but if you can go into your Wayback Machine, maybe you were in diapers when this was happening. But let's listen to what Terrence Ross has to say, because he talks about Andrea Bargnani. All right, let's listen.
Angel Reese teammates plan to confront her about her comment.
Yeah.
Bro,
so here's my thing.
Go ahead.
Just stop, bro. Your team's bad. You might be doing good on a bad team, but like, why would you say that, bro? Why would you ever say that?
Have you ever had that happen in the locker room where everyone
with the Raptors? Yes. Let me tell you the story. So this is my rookie year, right, in Toronto. And we're not the greatest team. I mean, we had DeMar, but I would say our best player at the time was Andrea Bargnani, number 1 pick. And like
6'11", shoot it,
6'11",
stretch the floor,
3-level scorer. So we're going through this horrible season, and
okay, let me pause it right there. He describes Andrea Bargnani as like a 3-level scorer. There is a lot of revisionist history about Andrea Bargnani. A lot. Okay. I was a fan of Andrea Bargnani when he was picked. I really hoped that he could get there. He was a cool player. Not a lot of players around like him. He could stretch it out. He ostensibly played the 5, but really was not. He wasn't a 5 at all. But there's a lot of people saying like he would be really good now. He would be so good. No, he was never good.
He's not even as good as Vucevic, and Vucevic is considered a bum by people for some reason.
Exactly.
No, exactly, right? Yeah. And like I remember at the time I had a very simplistic view of basketball, and I was like, big man doesn't rebound. I hate him. Why can't he rebound? He's tall.
You know what? That's a pretty good take to have.
Yeah.
Because that's part of the reason they're in the game. That's a huge reason.
Right.
Okay, so let's continue here.
I think it was after one game, an Italian reporter comes in because Andrea is from Italy. We start to notice like he's speaking they're speaking Italian to each other. So nobody really knows what they're saying. I think it was the next day. An article came out saying like Andrea Bargnani was like unhappy with his team, saying that we need better players and da. So next day we get to practice, and Aaron Gray, big country Aaron Gray, I think it was to Pittsburgh. Aaron Gray gets to the locker room and he's just like, oh yeah, we got to say something to today. Yeah, I'm saying something to him now.
You got the first overall pick saying we need better teammates, better players, and you got the 10th guy who's just fuming.
Like,
saying this out loud to everybody.
Yeah, bro, in the locker room, like getting everybody wound up. And I'm sitting in the middle of the locker room too, so I'm just like watching all these grown men like get fucking gassed up on this, and I'm just like, it's gonna be shaky when Drea walk in here, right? So Drea walks in, and then Aaron was like, yeah. He was like, we read what you said. He's like, you want to address that? Drea was like, I didn't say that. It came out of context. Like the guy said it. I was just like, Oh yeah. And so after that, bro, it was just a ref. Once he lost like the support of like everybody around him, I think Dre was gone like the next season, bro. So
No one cared.
nobody
Everyone,
cares. I mean, he was cool to me, so I can't say too much. But shit, man, it was. I can definitely see how a locker room would want to turn on you, and then I mean, back.
Okay, and then he goes back to
Angel.
talking about Angel Reese, who I think also kind of threw her team under the bus, although I'm not as familiar with that situation. But that goes like that's an interesting take there because there were a lot of excuses thrown around for Andrea Bargnani, like why he didn't do very well and like why he was so up and down. I remember there was like a 13 game sample size before he got injured this one season where he was doing well enough that he could have been an all-star. I think he was averaging like 21 points, 5 rebounds, 2 assists, and a block or something like that, which was like these days you'd never get in with those kinds of numbers, but he was kind of like a unicorn adjacent player where it's like a big man who can shoot the 3. It was like him and Dirk basically who could do that. And he was from Europe. So it's like, he's got that extra cachet, like the international man of mystery, but yeah, he was never that good. But it's interesting to hear that happened. And maybe that's why he kind of, like everything fell apart for him when the team didn't coalesce behind him because of that thing he said in Italian.
It's interesting. Like first of all, I love this genre of the podcast of players like Jeff Teague and all them who just tell their little stories that they've got from the locker room over years and years and years, because like so much goes on that we don't know about. And you find out all this stuff of this guy hated this guy had this problem, whatever. Right. And it's like, so when things start going wrong, it's like, okay, maybe there is actually this clubhouse problem. And it's like, games are so overreported now that we know the second that there was a players only meeting and stuff like that. But I mean, this has been how many years, and I never heard that this happened. I didn't know that somebody like Aaron Gray would be so outspoken, right? But
well, I mean, he wasn't a very good NBA player, Aaron Gray, that is, but he was also like 7'1", like 270, 280 pounds or something like that. You probably would not want to be confronted by Aaron Gray, even if you were Andrea Bargnani. So yeah, that's pretty interesting. He probably. It sounds like there was people getting intense in there, which is very funny thinking about Andrea Bargnani having to like fight because he always is so like robotic, like he'd move kind of like he's like kind of like an automaton. So, but would
Hedo Turkoglu have been on that team?
No, I think that was after. I think that was after. That was when they still had Bosch on the team with Turkoglu. I think as soon as Bosch left, I think they traded him to Phoenix.
Yeah, okay.
And then it was just Andrea Bargnani. And Bargnani was playing, like, my favorite. It's like, you know how they have sometimes like a Beauty and the Beast kind of lineup? Like, you know, when they had Dirk and not D'Alembert.
Was he a white guy? Or
he's a black guy. But it was like you have a finesse big and you have the like tough big.
A bruiser, yeah.
They did that, but it was the funniest one. Oh God, hold on a second. Let me just pull this up. But Andrea Bargnani was like, he was very soft.
Yeah.
And so they were like, oh God, we need a guy who can come in and it was Reggie Evans.
Okay.
Do you remember Reggie Evans, the guy who got caught? Somebody said, I think it was Charles Barkley said he got caught got with his hand caught in the cookie jar, and it was because he had reached behind another guy and grabbed his balls during a game. Like insane. It was Chris Kaman who was going up for a rebound. And Reggie Evans came up behind him and grabbed him by the balls.
That's insane.
And Chris Kaman like attacked him. Like they didn't know what was going on. But that was the guy that they had next to him. And Reggie Evans, kind of a fan favorite despite that. But he was like really tough, but he was very small. And he could get rebounds that nobody else could. So they were like, ugh, Bargnani can't get any rebounds. So I guess we'll just get this guy. And Reggie Evans could do nothing, literally nothing. He couldn't score inside. He couldn't get a layup. I don't even think he was that great defensively, but he could really rebound. And so they played them together, which I thought was just so funny. Like, it's just like
He's like
the lengths they went to.
Yeah, he's like an accessory. They clicked onto him so he could get a rebound.
Yeah, I know. And
Yeah.
it was like building around, like, there was no point in building around Bargnani.
Yeah.
Like the concessions that you required to have in order to
Yeah.
have him on the team made building a team just impossible. So like no interior defense, no rebounding. You have to get all of these other, it's like basically like a Dirk Nowitzki, but not worth it. It's like if Dirk was not good.
Yeah. And like you see, what's his name? That guy on the Jazz now, that we could have picked, the Mormon kid.
Oh, yes, Kyle Filipowski.
So Kyle Filipowski works because they're not trying to make him the guy.
Yeah.
Right? Because like he can be a good accessory scoring big who can score a
bench
couple
big,
levels.
yeah.
Right? And like, maybe he works next to somebody like Kessler or something long term. I don't know. But they're not trying to be like, yeah, we're building around this guy.
Yeah, this guy is the truth, the future.
Because you need more than that. You need to, if you're big, you need to be able to do all the big stuff if you're going to be the big, right? So yeah, it's so funny. I remember when we did move Bargnani to the Knicks, and the moment that it clicked for Knicks fans why we were so excited to be rid of him was like a close game. And
the shot that he took.
Yeah, all you had to do was not shoot. And he took one shot, got the rebound back, and took it again. And it's like they're losing their minds. Like, no way did you just...
No, because the other players, and I think it was Clyde Frazier, who's like a legend, an icon, like one of my favorite color commentators ever, and he let out like a primal scream, like, no, no, why would, like, just like
that's like that that Bulls highlight where Denzel Valentine takes that. Yeah, Valentine, that was not the shot.
That was, in my opinion, one of my favorite highlights ever.
Yeah.
And I'm not even talking about just like bloopers or anything like that. I can remember the cadence, the despair in the play-by-play, and also King. What's his name?
Bernard.
Bernard. No, it's not.
No,
Bernard King.
that's not Bernard King.
Stacey King. Stacey King.
Stacey King. Yeah.
Stacey King is also a very good color commentator.
Yeah.
It's like, no, no, you can't.
Because they know basketball. They're like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
That was wild. And that was like thank God he's not on our team anymore yet.
I know. And also some more Denzel Valentine lore. He did like some summer runs, and he got schooled by this pro-am guy, like a guy who's just like back and forth, like in like some European leagues and like a cup of coffee here and there.
Yeah.
And this
Somebody
is when
goes to ball, don't stop kind of runs.
Yes, exactly. And like, so this guy is not like an NBA caliber player, but he literally just cooked Denzel Valentine, and it was all on camera. And Denzel was trying to big dog him, like, I'm an NBA player, you're gonna lose. And this guy was like getting up into him, like in his face, like mean mugging him, doing all that stuff. That's when I knew it's over. His career is done.
When you've got Malachi Flynn who can score like 73 in a pro-am game, if you're getting schooled in a pro-am game, you're done. You're done.
That's so funny.
That's funny. That's so funny. I didn't know there was more to the Denzel Valentine.
I mean, it's many layers to the Denzel. Also, like, honestly, in terms of NBA names, Denzel Valentine has got to be one of the best ones. His parents hit it out of the park there. If you have last name Valentine, Denzel Valentine, that sounds like he should be.
It's very cool. Yeah,
a multiple time All-Star. Yeah.
Did we not sign and cut him one time? I swear we did that, and I was like, Valentine, and then we immediately cut him, and it was for like some random move. I was like maybe for 905 stuff, but I was like, oh.
Yes, I actually think so, because I was reminded, I was like really like flummoxed, like, what are they doing? This guy is horrible.
Yeah.
And then, yeah, I think they cut him immediately.
Yeah.
So, I think that's where we're going to end the podcast. We had five, count 'em, bold takes for this coming season. And then we did a little bit of a blast from the past. Andrea Bargnani and Terrence Ross. In fact, maybe we'll just add a little bit tech on a bit here. I really liked listening to Terrence Ross's podcast there. I haven't really listened to it very much. I mean, that's pretty much the only thing I've ever heard out of his podcast. But, if they need another broadcaster, maybe that's a guy that they could look at. Because, that's kind of what these things are. They're kind of auditioning for that kind of role.
For sure.
So, maybe that's a future job opportunity for the former Raptor. In any case, thank you guys for tuning in to the Raptors Report podcast. This is the 10th episode. If you struggled through the first couple when we were still getting our S together and trying to figure out what button to press and all of that, to now when it's, slightly better and the audio levels aren't completely garbage. If you want to continue to watch the production values go up and up and up and up, you can become a contributor. You can support the podcast. There's a link in the description to the link tree. If you click on that, you can go to the Patreon. We have merch that will go directly to Steve and I. And you can also, we haven't really updated recently, but we have other socials as well. There's YouTube, there's Twitter, there is TikTok, there is Instagram. Go follow us all. Go follow us on all of those mediums. And, we will be showing you content there as well. And as always, thank you guys for tuning in to Raptors Report, your source for in-depth Raptors content. Cheers.